Am I still in focus, by the way, on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Sorry. I think
That's how we started.
Yeah. Are we still recording?
Sorry, I've got to make a comment.
Yeah.
Southampton has just lost to Bournemouth.
Come on! Yes!
For context, on the cameras, Luke literally just went. Hello.
You're in front of the camera.
I know this
How does
feels.
it feel to be in front of the camera, first of all? That was one of my questions. How does it feel to be in front of the camera?
I mean, I'm used to filming my own YouTube videos, but with the mic set up and two cameras pointing at me, it does feel a bit weird.
Peculiar.
Like, it's really weird because I'm used to just looking at one camera, but now I'm like, Ollie camera, Ollie camera.
Camera too.
Well, generally, I think, God, this was back in secondary school. There's always usually like a film that kind of, where the passion just, I can't click my fingers, but you watch, there's a specific film in your life where you watch it and it just kind of goes, that's what I want to do and that's the thing I want to learn. And I think for me, it was probably Inception back in 2010, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, I want to make something along like that. And then since then, it's become my personality, and that's not a good thing. So yeah, I think, because I've always watched films ever since I was a kid, but I think it was around the halfway through secondary school where like something just clicked, and I was like, this is what I want to not study, but I would just want to learn more about it and how they do it. And then obviously doing a media degree at college and then going to do that same sort of thing at uni, it just became more and more like, okay, I can see this being an actual thing now. And I guess it's just something that stuck. I've always loved film, and the more I've found out about it and how it works, the more it just fascinates me.
Yeah.
And the more I just want to delve headfirst into it. I've filmed a few small documentaries at uni that were all about like 15 to 10 minutes each for projects. Because one of the lecturers we had, I think his name was Archie, his whole thing was documentary. Like every time we had a module with him, even if it wasn't meant to be documentary, he would end up teaching us about documentary anyway. So we might as well have just done a bloody He said like, right, this is how you set up an interview, this is how you record. So those basic things kind of give you a good thing of like how to make one. Yeah. And then we would just kind of let loose like, right, find something like a small business in Hastings to then make a documentary about. And I think the first documentary we did was about the adventure golf course on the seafront.
Funny.
And it was the most uninteresting bloody thing I've ever made. And I had to make it interesting in the edit. So yeah, that was one that we made, and then the second one, that's the main one where I did the camera work and edit. All the other ones we did at uni, I mainly was just helping other people out in theirs, because there was one that was done about the Battle Fire Service, like the fire station and stuff, and then another one was about, what was it about? It's that interesting. This is my first like proper full-blown like documentary where everything's been made from scratch, because the ones I did before, it was a mixture of like we filmed the stuff but also have to find like archival footage and interviews and stuff. But this is the first one I'm like making from scratch, and I think it is the first music one I've done. And to be honest, like, as someone who loves watching films as well as making them, I think documentary is so underrated just in general. And out of all types of documentary, I lap music documentaries up like no one's business. Whether it's Sound City, Stop Making Sense about Talking Heads, I'm very open with my music taste, so I don't really care who the documentary is about, like whether it's about some funk band from the 70s I've never heard of, or it's the Amy Winehouse documentary from 2014. I don't care who it's about. I just find it really fascinating. And again, it can be a documentary about just like the Talking Head one, where it's just them performing for about an hour and a half, and it's fucking riveting.
Yeah.
Or whether it's like Sound City, where it's like a proper breakdown of who's recorded at that studio, how they've recorded it, and then the process of making the Sound City album. I don't know like musical theory and all that, but I just find that stuff. I think it also helps loving the people that the documentary is about. But I've loved Foo Fighters since as far back as I can remember, and the fact that Dave Grohl directed that. And again, I think that also kind of helps wanting to make this documentary.
He played on all the songs on that Sound City.
Yeah, like there is an element on each of those songs where it's him. I could just spend about an hour talking about that documentary because it's one of my favourites.
Is it?
Yeah, of all time. Like, don't get me wrong, I like what's the Foo Fighters one? Back and Forth.
Yeah.
I do like that, but Sound City just feels like a lightning in a bottle thing, and it's just the more times I watch it, the more fascinating I find it. Just the whole history of that studio where they recorded the Blue album by Weezer, Nevermind, load of Slipknot and Queens of the Stone Age stuff, and Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. It's just, I've watched that more times than any other documentary because it's just so good.
Are there any particular? I think you've already answered it. But are there any particular documentaries that are sort of going to inspire you as to how you approach this one?
There's a couple. I think structurally and tonally, I think Sound City mixed with, funnily enough, the two Foo Fighters one. Sound City mixed with a bit of Back and Forth is what my main inspiration is, because I want it to be a nice blend of showing the process as it happens, when it happens in the studio, but also kind of getting
a bit of history about the band. And
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, a bit of like a general perspective of like, because I think I explained this to you yesterday, actually. Like, I want it to kind of feel like we're following you guys in the process day by day. Not obviously showing you the whole process, but like, this is a snippet of day one, this is a snippet of day two, getting you to feel like another person in the studio, but also having those interviews to then kind of glue everything together, add context to it, and make it a more make the piece more whole, and get to know you lads a bit more. Yeah. Initially, I was not surprised. Because originally we were just going to do like mini interviews that gave a bit of context to the album, and then put them up on social media and find a way to kind of interweave them with the output of the album later on in the year.
Content is king.
Yep. Hashtag content. Hashtag we are content with content. Make that a thing. Content. But yeah, initially the idea was just to do mini interviews to kind of give context to the songs on the album. But then Mr. Whitehead, Oliver, rang me one day and was just like, how about we develop it and turn it into a documentary? And as soon as that idea was then put into my head, it's one of those things where it's like,
I'm never going to stop thinking about that until we do it.
Yeah. The amount of ideas that then just spiraled in my head, like, oh, we could do it this way, we could do it that way, oh, we could also do it like this, and then the amount of things that then went in my head. And I think also having made a couple before at uni meant in my head, my first initial thought was like, I've done that before, we can do that, that's a piece of piss. Yeah, out of all the things that could have been pitched, I was like, that's doable. We can do that. I think from that initial idea pitch from Ollie, it was literally just a case of like, that's doable. We can do it. We can also make it look as good and make it be as good as we can possibly get it. The thing I want to kind of get across the most in the documentary is, there's a couple of things. The main one being the process of how the album's being made and how, not bare bones it is, but literally how the guys are kind of doing it all from scratch and really trying to get that across in the film. I want that to be a major thing when you're looking at all the studio footage, that like, we're doing it all from scratch. and everything is coming from them naturally, like there's nothing artificial about it, and I want that to kind of be the thing, but also to show that like how well they work as a unit, because I've seen it in person a couple times before. I know from experience of also but yeah, from those two shoots, that I know how well they work together, and that just their general personalities as well, and I just want that to be one of the primary things to come across in the film. Like, these are three lads working at the top of their game to try and make something they want to make from scratch, which you don't really see a lot of behind the scenes stuff nowadays. Like, you see these.
Everyone's so fucking secretive when they're like, "Oh, we've been busy."
Exactly. Like
with TikTok, I think it's developing the behind the scenes thing again.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, but like, as you said, there's a lot of we've been busy in the background. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man,
it's all
like,
content. You can sell everything
like,
you do in the studio to TikTok, to Instagram, and it's so easy to do this.
Like, compared to most indie / unsigned bands that I like see on social media, I would say we show like 10 times more than they show. And I actually think it's more beneficial for like you guys, because it like I said before about the documentary, but again, just applying it to social media, it lets the viewers and the people that listen to your music into the process, making them feel like a part of it. And it just makes everything feel a bit more down to earth and natural. And again, that's something else I want to get across in the documentary, how natural and down to earth the whole process is, and also just how bloody funny the whole thing is going to be. Because, I mean, they're three of the funniest.
There's no point in taking ourselves seriously, right? We're all mates, and we want to just make. We just want to create something, you know. We want to create something that's good.
We're four lads that all kind of are a similar mindset, and you three specifically, like, you're three of the funniest people I've ever met, and I want that to come through in the documentary.
I'm not paying them to say this. I am truly flattered.
Like, I've known Ollie since 2009, 2010.
Please don't tell me that. Yeah.
Like,
2009.
It's been a long
We
time.
started secondary school at that time.
And we became friends like within the first year, didn't we?
Unfortunately for Aaron.
Yep. So I already know he's got a cracking sense of humour, but then meeting Josh and Luke in the last year or so, because I hadn't actually met Josh in person properly before. I hadn't really been introduced to him properly until I started properly working on stuff last year.
Yeah.
But as soon as I met Luke and Josh over like Zoom calls and then eventually in person last August, I was just like, yeah, this is going to go great. We're all going to get on like a house on fire. And every shoot we've done since has been just that. And I'm really glad it has, because...
there's always been a moment where we've been very laughing at one point.
Yeah.
You know, it's just... There's nothing else to it, really, is it? It's just...
Yeah.
Four lads in a room making content and having fun.
If you can't have fun,
Shouting at each other.
if you can't have fun doing, like my mindset for not just this but anything is like, if you can't have fun doing the thing you want to do, then don't bother doing it at all. Like, if I don't enjoy making films, then I'm not gonna fucking do it, and like we wouldn't be here now. So yeah. The edit is the one thing that I keep thinking about, because, and I've said this to Ollie multiple times, but with a documentary, you can film whatever you want to film, but it doesn't really form a cohesive thing until you get to the edit. Like, you could film a random load of fucking gibberish shit. It's not until you get to the edit where it starts to actually make sense and flow into a story. Because I know from experience doing the ones at uni, we went into some of the projects wanting it to go a specific way or look a specific way. And then you get to the edit and it looks and feels completely fucking different. So I know from experience with this, I'm leaving the shoot and the filming as open as I can, so that when I get to the edit, I've got as many options as possible. Because I've got a couple of ideas in my head how I want it to feel and look and the structure of it. but that might actually change when I sit down to edit it. I might get to the edit and go, you know what, I'm going to do it this way, and it might work out for the better. So in terms of the edit, I don't really know. I'm just going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.